Welcome to the Emily the Mystic Show. You're about to walk through a portal that leads to all things mystical, magical, spiritual, and supernatural. I'm your host, Emily. I'm a spiritual mentor, an Akashic Records practitioner and teacher, an intuition development coach, and a galactic channeler. If you're an old soul on a self-discovery and healing journey, you are in the right place. We'll be diving in deep to some of my favorite mystical topics, including manifestation, past lives, the spirit world, energy, and so much more. Get ready to embrace your inner mystic and live your most authentic life possible. The portal is now open. Hello, my dear listener, and welcome to another mystical guest episode of the Emily the Mystic Show podcast. I am so excited to introduce you to my dear friend and past client, Pia, who is located in Vancouver, Canada. Pia Edberg is a 5-time bestselling author, intuitive book doula, somatic practitioner, and founder of Dream Book Academy. She helps purpose-driven people write, self-publish, and bring their spiritual self-help and memoir books to life through a unique blend of strategy and energy work. Her work has been featured in Elle, the Everygirl, BuzzFeed, and MindBodyGreen. Amazing. So much experience and wisdom to bring to the show today. Pia, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to share.
Yay. And so the listener can get to know you a little bit better. Can you share with us your astrology, sun, moon, and rising, and your human design type?
Yes. So I'm a Cancer sun, Taurus rising, and Aries moon, and generator in human design with a sacral authority.
Oh, I forgot you were a Taurus rising. Me too. I love that.
Hence the earthiness, right?
Oh, totally. And the hominess of the Cancer sun too, with being in the book industry. I absolutely love that so much.
Mm-hmm.
And what is bringing you joy in your life right now?
Oh my gosh, honestly, just trying to get back into nature as much as possible, because whenever I'm feeling any kind of stress or overwhelm or anything at all, as soon as I get outside, I'm back to that inner child. I'm just soaking in the good energy and yeah.
Oh, me too. Seriously, I feel like we need extra grounding right now with the way the collective energy is. So I've been definitely trying to do the same. So I love that. Sure. And I know that you are part of the intuitive book industry. So I can't wait to get into that today, because I feel like a lot of listeners would have questions around what does it mean to be a published author? How do we get into that? All of the above. So I would love to hear a little bit about your story first as a writer. How did you get into what you do today? Where did that first begin? Whatever you feel called to share.
Yeah, well, I always wrote for fun in my life, as we do as teenagers. We're journaling, we're documenting things, we're expressing our feelings. But I never took it seriously as anything, and I followed the conventional path. I got my psychology degree. I ended up working in human resources and recruitment for film and animation, and I did that for about 10 years, and I got the title, I got the 6-figure salary, and I had the things and lived in the city. But you kind of hit a wall at some point when you realize, wait a minute, I have checked all the boxes now, and I feel empty inside. And so I just had one of those big moments where I started reflecting on myself and my life. And I tuned back into who I was when I was a kid. And I remember spending hours and hours and days with my piles of construction paper and my felts and my pens. And I would just make these little books. They weren't really great stories or anything, but I just liked putting stuff into little pages that were stapled together with different topics and themes. And then I decided, I know there's something to this inner child stuff, and I wasn't into the spiritual world at that point so much then. But I just thought, maybe I should write a book. Sure, why not? I just got that intuitive hit. But now I ran into that problem of what the hell do I write about? I knew I wanted to. And then one day I was just having a shower and I got this massive intuitive hit, this download that said, write about hygge. And what that is I'm half Danish. So it's the Danish concept of coziness. And it's something that I wanted to share with people because I tried to make cozy events with my friends and they didn't understand what I was trying to do. So I thought, I want to share this. I grew up with this concept. There was nothing about it online, no other books written. I thought, okay, great, I'm going to do this. And I found a course that helped me put it together and self-published it. And then when I hit publish, it blew up like wildfire. It was the first of its kind. And like literally days, weeks, months later, so many books on the topic started being published. And because of that popularity, I made a lot of money with the book. And it sort of catapulted this whole career of one, listening to your intuition because it's guiding you. Your book has a spirit. If you feel that calling, it's there for a reason. Do not ignore it. And two, I lost what I was just saying. It started my business because people asked me how I did it. And I started publishing more books, I was able to quit that boring, soul-sucking 9 to 5. I was able to start my business, be an author. And yeah, just kind of grew from there.
I love it so much. I feel like it's so Taurus Cancer of you to write a book about hygge. Like, I just have to say that's so magical. And I feel like that was such a zeitgeist of the time, like such a big trend, such a huge thing that was out there. And I love that even before your spiritual journey started, your higher self knew, your soul knew that you needed to write about something to bring it to the general public that was part of you and part of your ancestry and your heritage and all of these things, but that didn't really exist out there yet. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was unexpected. So I loved, yeah.
And then how did your spiritual journey take shape after that happened? Or was that happening at the same time? Like, I would love to hear that story too.
Yeah, so when I wrote that first book, The Cozy Life, I was able to get my full-time job into half-time hours. So I had a lot of free time and free space. And I find that when you have a lot of that free time, you start thinking about life and spirituality. And suddenly the universe was bringing me people and situations and events that were a little bit more esoteric. And I just started gravitating towards it and it grew from there. And I just got obsessed. And I was always into personal development, but that was, that's very much cerebral and mindset, but bringing it into the spiritual, yeah, I just got obsessed and that's what I'm in and I love it. Yeah.
And how did you start weaving that into your writing, your business? What did that look like?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest, at first I was still conditioned by society to be very logical, very academic, this is the step by step. This is what we're supposed to do. This is what other people are doing. And so I used to teach it publishing and writing from a very logical standpoint, like literally step 1, step 2, step 3. But when I started to see the patterns of how success and manifestation and even just feeling really connected to your book was so important, I started weaving and working on myself and gaining my confidence to talk about spirituality. I started weaving that into the book process because I knew how important it was for me and for everyone that I've worked with. Then I started really blending the strategic and the how to. Yeah.
That's really magical because I feel like there aren't a lot of people out there who specialize in that. And so to be able to bring such an esoteric, metaphysical, mystical touch to the publishing industry, I feel like is so needed. Mm-hmm. So I would love to hear a little bit more about how you help support your clients with that. And because I feel like, and Pia and I were talking about this before we hit record, one thing that I really see a lot with clients is they've gone to see an intuitive or a psychic, and maybe even me, maybe I've done a reading for you and I've said this, where you were told by someone along the way that you would be publishing a book one day, or you would be writing something, and you're here to deliver a body of work about something. And I think a lot of us too, who are channels, we want some sort of tangible thing to bring our intuitive information into like a physical form. So how do you start helping your clients with that? And kind of like, what does that intuitive publishing process look like?
Yeah. So The one thing I've learned with everyone that I've worked with is everyone's journey is so different, and everyone feels so much pressure to make it look like a certain type of journey because that's what they see out there. But having spoken to them, they're so different. And so I'll say that most people that come to my world who want to write a book have that calling. They have that nudge. They're like, this book is coming out of me, or I'm going to explode. It's usually probably because the way I'm branded too, but they come with this intuitive nudge that this has to happen. But now they're stuck at the how the heck do I even make it physical? How do I get this into this? And there's a lot of fear and confusion and overwhelm. And so my process is, I wonder if because there's so many layers. I really try to get people to tune in to the purpose of their book, the core message, the legacy they want to leave behind. It's so much bigger than them. It's more about what that book is out there to do, because you're basically just that vessel to get it out.
Yeah.
And I think, when you work with me, I help people clarify that, because sometimes it's a bit confusing. And so when you can kind of come up with I typically work with self-help memoir type of or spiritual, and there's sort of an A to Z transformation, and it's a very clear through line, and help people clarify that, because when you can clarify that, the book sort of snaps into place. It's less of this chaotic mind stuff going on. And then of course there's like getting really clear on your dream reader. Who are you speaking to? Who do you want to help with this book? Often, because of the genres I work with, it's a younger version of you, because you've gone through something in your life, often a spiritual awakening or a big life event, or you've learned a lot about something that you know is going to help people. So it's like they want to talk to that person, usually, not always. So it's that core message, the dream reader, and then the brainstorming and outline process, keeping it really playful and organic, just brain dumping everything out. I know a lot of fears that come up for people is perfectionism or failure, or am I doing this right? And I really try to get them into that headspace where it's like, it doesn't matter, because just get everything out, be in that flow state, because your book is going to get edited and perfected. You work with me, I'm an editor as well. You're going to have beta readers. You're going to get feedback at this point in the game. Intuition first, just getting everything out. And then, I could go on and on, but we structure it into a version that feels good for the type of book that it is. And, choose that marketing angle. And I hate using the word marketing, because choosing the angle that's going to resonate with that reader. And then there's the practicalities of publishing it, and the cover design, and the formatting, and the editing. And then, of course, the launch, and what's the way that's going to feel good for launching for you, because every author has different likes, dislikes, strengths, weaknesses, etc. And we try to tailor something that is just really joyful and going to light them up. That's the intuitive side. Again, like launching can feel so technical and businessy, but how can we make it fun? Because it can be scary to hit publish on that book, like very scary for some people. So we want to make it really, a good process. Yeah.
And I love this. What I'm really hearing is you saying that every piece of the process is intentional. There's so much intention like built into what the message is of the book, who you're writing it for, how you're creating the cover art, how, all of the marketing, all the different things, which I feel like is so important when it comes to a spiritual body of work. Because one thing that's really interesting that I channeled recently, and I know you already know this, but this is a realization that I was doing a mini reading for a client of mine in my membership who's also an author, and she was asking for guidance around the book that she's writing. And what came through my channel was that her book is a container of energy. It's its own spirit. It's got its own consciousness, and she needs to learn how to work with the consciousness of the energy of her book. And that blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's so interesting that just came through. So I feel like what you're sharing, the intentionality behind all the steps in the process, really is designed to like work with the spirit of the book and birthing it quite literally into the world.
That's how I try to explain it too. It's planting that seed, and it's just going to keep growing and become a saying. Because I've noticed when people are coming from that very logical, oh, I should write a book because it makes sense for my business. It's a very heady space. I find that the process feels very, I don't know, they're not very excited about it, or it doesn't have that deeper meaning to it.
100%. And it's quite literally, doesn't matter what your gender is, but you're quite literally birthing something new into the world. So it's almost like you're on a little bit of a book pregnancy journey at every step of the way.
Oh my God.
Oh gosh, I love it. So does that mean that you work with people at different stages of the journey? So do you work with people at the very beginning, like conceptual stage? Do you work with people who are actively writing the book? Do you work with people who are more at the end stage, who are ready to publish? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I'm one of those multi-potentialites / multi-passionates. So my whole life I've been obsessed with learning, so I am very holistic. I do take people from idea and conception to the writing, and I edit as well. I'm a certified editor. I help them self-publish it and launch it. I do some marketing, but I guess that's where the doula / book, like a normal doula, a birth doula, and a book doula kind of, like, I don't raise the baby, right? Like I help them go through the birthing process and birth the baby in the book, but I don't do so much of the marketing, although I do a little bit of the strategy and the launching part of it. But yeah, it's mostly anywhere. I meet them anywhere where they're at. Some people need the full thing. Some people just need little bits. Yeah.
And then this is coming from someone, me, who doesn't really fully understand the industry. What are the benefits to self-publishing versus trying to work with one of the major spiritual publishers out there? What are some of the costs and benefits of that?
Oh my God, I love this question. This is a very common one too. And well, main thing is that creative control, the royalties that you keep more of when you're doing it yourself. And so I've worked at publishing companies too. I don't talk about it so much, but it's really, truly a business. And a lot of new authors see how much visibility and marketing, say someone like Gabby Bernstein gets because they've got a big name behind them. But from the publishing side, because I worked in it, they're pushing the ones that they know are going to make money. They might test you. And then if it's not working, you're not going to get the marketing push. And now you've signed your contract with them and you're only getting maybe like 6% of your royalties, and you don't have much control of the future of your book. And then many of the people that I work with have this sort of vision, whether it's a business, whether it's like a community or something, and they really want to own that process. And what I say for people who do dream of the big publishing companies is self-publish first. You can get picked up. I got picked up later by not a big publisher, but traditional publisher. And at least I got to have my book out sooner, because publishing companies can also take a few years, and you might be like, I need to get it out now, and they have very long timelines. So pros and cons, I always say do self-publishing first, and then if you get picked up, great. But at least you've done what you want to do and say what you want to say.
That's amazing. Yeah, I feel like that's so helpful to hear. And to me, feels like such a great space for people who are just wanting to get that first book out there to begin with, to start with self-publishing. That's amazing. So when it comes to the process of helping someone with that book creation and the writing and the channeling, how do you support them as a coach and a mentor? I know you work with lots of intuitive tools like tarot and so forth. So what does that coaching process look like?
Yeah, so everyone who works with me, they do get this online portal. It's called Dream Book Academy. And that's the very, step by step. It's got the templates and the resources. So they always have this lifetime access, and they can use it at any point where they need to remember what to do, or they need steps and stuff like that. And then with my support is obviously a lot of questions come up along the way. So with me, we have calls, and then they have the opportunity to ask questions, whether it's coming up with, like, can I bounce ideas with you, or if it's can we come up with a launch strategy? I'm so lost. I don't know what to do. And then also on the energetic stuff, I do somatics too, and I do energy work in that sense. I have my Reiki certification too, and tarot. So I just kind of see where they're at. And so I have the tools to help unblock the different things that show up along the way. Because the most common thing being like the writer's block. I can't sit down and I don't know what to say. There's obviously something going on there, so we can work through that. Or it's the hitting publish. Oh my God, what are people going to think? And or I can't market my book. I hate social media. It's so scary. There's these things we don't think about. That's part of the journey. And that's where I'm there to support, as well as literally all the practical stuff. You get very technical when you have to upload your documents and you're like, how do I do that? And I help guide them on the techie things and the project management. I think I forgot to mention is I will keep them accountable. We create an overall timeline that shows them, where we're going and when, and I just make sure we're on track based on their desires. It's the journey is very personal to each author and when they want their book released and all those types of things. Yeah.
I can only imagine that a lot of different kinds of resistances would come up along the way on that journey. I could totally see that based on the work that I help with my clients with as well. I feel like a really big thing for people is that time management side of things. So when it comes to someone who knows that they're here to write something, but they're also like, how do I delegate my time to writing versus my time to doing either business generation activities or having a job that's generating income? Because I mean, truly, there's we all have to support ourselves through income and, financial abundance and whatever outlet we choose to do that. And then the book is not something that's going to make us money right away. Right. So how do we balance that with our time management skills? And I hope my question makes sense.
It does. And I see it as a two-parter because I am both strategy and energy. And on the energy side of it, I want to say, I love this analogy, but the attachment styles, secure, fearful, avoidant,
yes,
anxious. Yeah. So if your book is your baby, you probably want to give it the most secure attachment as possible, and you want to show up to it consistency. If you truly feel so connected to that book, like it is your baby, and most of my clients say this is my baby, it's sort of cultivating that. And then again, like when you have the resistances and you're feeling that avoidant, like, oh, I can't show up, like what is going on there? So we do a lot of exploration. So that is the creating that secure attachment with the book. So you're showing up for them daily, if that's what it means. But on a practical side, it's really fun to explore different ways. Because again, all my clients, some of them book a little cabin retreat away. I'm just going to get like the first, we call it the shitty first draft. The first draft, it does not have to be perfect. You're just getting everything out as fast as you can. And you can lock away in a cabin and do that if you have the means and the time. But some people have no time. I had a client, he just walked around because his job was sort of driving and walking around. He would type in his notes app in his book, different notes, and just do that. I've had people who prefer to speak. They would talk into voice note, and the AI transcribe it into text, and we organize it that way. There's always a workaround, no matter how busy you are. And then the general stuff, maybe you just wake up a little earlier and then you spend an hour and you commit to that. Or maybe you're good with deadlines. Some people are really great with that timeline bird's eye view. Let's break down each chapter. Week 1, we're going to finish this. Week 2, and then maybe it doesn't matter when you're writing, but in your brain, you're a good procrastinator. Like that gets stuff done and you hit the timelines. So we just kind of figure out what that is for each person.
I love how individualized the journey is, because everything you shared makes so much sense. And it depends on you and how you work. And I love how you figure out that perfect, intuitive and strategic way for everybody.
And some people want me to be very on top of them and are you doing this? Are you doing this? And some people want me please do not bother me or it will make me not write. So I think that's what I really love is the specialized approach, because creativity is not a thing for everyone.
Do you have any tips for someone who feels creatively blocked or stuck And whether it's writing or just creativity in general, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs who feel sometimes like, oh, I just have no idea what to say on social media. I feel so creatively blocked. So what tips do you have for someone who would feel that way?
Yeah, my biggest tip is definitely when they're feeling creatively blocked, they're sort of probably operating and stuck in the mind a lot. And our mind, I really like to say that our brain is our secretary, but our body or our soul is our CEO. So there's different techniques. I mean, this is stuff that you do too. You're getting people out of the head, back into the body, allowing that presence, and then the intuition comes out. And if you are having blocks, like a literal fear block, I can't do this because I'm going to fail, then you have the tools like somatics or hypnotherapy or whatever it is to undo that thing. So yeah.
Yeah, that's so helpful. It's so true. Sometimes we just need, I mean, for myself personally, I just need to go for a jog or a walk or something that's going to like move the energy into my body, and out of my head. So it's so true.
Movement too. Yeah.
I want to switch gears a little bit and chat about your most recent writing journey and hear about your new book, Paid to Exist. So tell us about that, because when I saw your marketing for it, I was like, oh my God, I love this concept. I'm so glad someone's talking about this. So how did that come about, and tell us more about it?
Oh, yes. I think through the culmination of so many years of spirituality and learning everything, and I got really into quantum physics because my logical conditioned mind wanted some science, even though I knew intuitively there was the spiritual side of it. And so I was just away on vacation on a boat trip, and this download again just hit me while I was on a boat in the middle of the ocean that I needed to, I don't know how the idea even formed, but it said like you used to work like that 9 to 5 thing. And when I looked at the patterns of how money showed up in my life, it was never just through a job. It was never even just through my business. It was through infinite sources, whether it was a gift, whether it was a contest, whether it was, I don't know, just some chunk of money that came from anywhere. And learning what I learned with quantum physics and the body and what you believe is what you experience in your reality, I just really, I realized that connection of like opening up the portals of receiving money and being paid for being you comes from everywhere, but we're so conditioned as society to think it comes through a job, and our self-worth and our productivity must come this. So you get that tunnel vision, you get really stressed, you're in lack and scarcity. But yes, long story short, the book is basically how to get back to who you are and rewiring your beliefs and your body to for the abundance frequency, and knowing that you're full and whole already and that you can get it from all sources if you're open to it. So.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. And I've been on that big journey myself with my experience in the corporate world and all the conditioning and programming that we receive, that money has to come through a channel like a job or a specific career path. And then relearning that money doesn't just come through that or even a business, but can come through in magical ways, like what you shared, getting the random check in the mail, like winning the gift card, so many different things. So I absolutely love that. When it comes to beginning to embody that and really feel that abundance frequency, do you have any tips for us to start tapping into that today?
Yeah, I want to, because I recently sort of put something together, had like an aha moment, and it suddenly made sense because in the book, I really teach embodiment and unblocking the energy blocks so that you become an open channel. But what I realized when we're numbing out, say scrolling on social media or eating the foods we know we shouldn't be eating, just those numbing out activities, we're actually subconsciously feeling empty. Like it's just that dopamine hit. And so my biggest tip is it's multi-layered. It's remembering that you are already full, you are already whole. And I created like every morning I remind myself of that, like I'm already full and I don't need to fill it with the things that numb me out. And when I feel that trigger and I feel that desperate need to eat that midnight chocolate, I know I need to process the feelings through my body and get back to presence and get back to me who is already whole. And just through those exercises and then constantly reminding myself I'm already full and abundant and whole and gratitude and all those things, it just starts to mirror in your external reality because your reality is a mirror of your subconscious. So I think just remembering, you don't need to feel that you're whole and you're full. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but it does in my head.
It does. No, I love that affirmation. I am already full. That is so beautiful because I feel like we're always trying to fill a void with exactly like what you shared. And when we can start to tap into that energy of fullness and wholeness, I know for myself, it really just starts to radiate outwards because you're no longer acting from this point of view of scarcity and running to catch the next thing. Because when you're in lack, you're operating from this place of like, oh my God, I don't know if my needs are going to be met. I don't know if I'm going to get the money that I need. And then you start getting yourself caught up in this spiral. And then, you numb out with the alcohol and the sugar and all the different substances that we use to make ourselves feel better. And then the storyline just keeps perpetuating itself. And then you don't get your needs met. You know what I mean?
And inside your body is screaming at you, pay attention to me. Like, just be with me. When you numb out, you're disconnecting more. And it's really screaming at you, like, come back.
Oh my gosh, 100%. So I love that what you're writing about and sharing with us is to start tuning into that frequency of wholeness, of the abundance that you already have within yourself, because that's so powerful. And when you start operating that way, I really have felt myself coming into that, I would say over the last 2 years specifically, you just feel so much more limitless potential that's available to you that you can really tap into.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So when it comes to your book, where can we find it? Where can people get a copy? I'm going to get one for myself, so I would love to know.
Well, right now it's on my Instagram on the link in bio there. I haven't put it up on Amazon yet because I have some different ideas for this book. It's a bit special. It's a little bit different, but right now it's on my Instagram.
Amazing.
Yeah.
To start wrapping us up here, Pia, when it comes to someone listening who is thinking about starting their book journey, what tips would you give them for getting into it, starting to frame their idea, their concept, their message? What would you tell someone who is brand new to this, who wants to get started?
Yeah, I would say if you're new to it, well, I want to say I have actually a free ebook and a guide that literally breaks down the process for you because there is like getting clear on that core message and how to get your ideas out on paper, how to choose the dream reader. That's the beginning. That's that whole foundation that you want to lay so that the rest of the journey is very clear, cut from that point. So definitely just stay open to what's coming through. If you are into meditation practices or anything that grounds you, being outside, putting your feet on the grass, getting into the body, the worries don't need, I know a lot of stuff's probably, shows up in the worries and the thoughts and the fears, but that is not you. The soul of your book and you as a soul have a purpose here that's bigger than any fear. You have people to help, you have things to do, you have a legacy to leave behind. Try to get back into the body and connect to that and not whatever your brain is trying to say to you.
And what would you tell someone who has resistance to writing because of the nerves around what are people going to think of me? What's my family going to think of me? Coming out of the spiritual closet, like all of those things. What would you tell someone who's going through that?
I would say I talk a lot about nervous system stuff. And, when we're feeling that fight or flight or freeze mode, we're feeling unsafe. So my biggest tip is what I like to do is I actually like to close my eyes and visualize the version of me that I want to become. So in this case, let's call it your author identity. So let's see what that person looks like. Maybe you want to journal about it. What are they doing? What are they like? What are their daily habits? How do they dress? What does their home look like? And then just start to imagine you are already that person and practice feeling that energy every day. And it starts to normalize it in your nervous system so that it doesn't feel like such a far away, scary thing. I really love the identity work and energy shifting there.
That's such a good tip, because I feel like that version of you that is your author identity, your highest author self, they're not going to care when the book goes out into the world, what the family members or the people from high school are going to think about it. They're just going to do it because they know that the book needs to get out there for the people who need to read it.
Yeah. And when you're so connected to your creativity and so connected to your purpose, authenticity is what wins. I heard now it vibrates 400 times higher than love. So that magnetism, it's going to be everything for you. It's yeah.
Oh, 100%. Helps you tap into that most magnetic author self. Yeah. So I absolutely love that identity shift. That's huge. So tell us what you have going on in your business right now. Where can people find you? Any other offerings that you want to share besides what you've spoken about today?
Yeah, my main offerings are, so if you're somebody who just kind of wants to do it yourself, self-guided, I do have Dream Book Academy. So again, that's the course that takes you step by step, the templates and resources, a Facebook community, and a VIP roster of service providers. And what that means is, all my recommended cover designers, formatters, marketing people, editors, all the good stuff. Literally, I've put everything that you could possibly need to write and publish a book, from absolutely zero idea and no experience whatsoever, and up to launching it, and amazing marketing tips that is very much, connected to what's authentic to you. But if you want more support, because you like having that person to bounce off of and ask questions and get their, second pair of eyeballs on the whole thing, then that's when you can apply to work one-on-one with me. And it's the same method, but I'm guiding you, and I can tell you exactly what to do next. If that's how you like to work, I can just make it very fun, light, and joyful for you. Yeah.
I love that you offer different levels of support. That sounds perfect for someone on that journey. And to wrap us up today, I have to ask the question, Pia, what does being a mystic mean to you?
Definitely listening to my intuition after learning that this 3D physical reality is really 99.999% energy. Being a mystic to me is embracing the invisible, the unseen, tapping into your intuition and trusting the messages that come through, and knowing that it is much bigger than what your logical mind could even conceive. And your path in life might not be that perfect plan that you've set out for yourself. There's actually something deeper that your body and your soul is telling you.
So true. And I love that you shared that through your life's experience today, with having that moment in the shower where you received the idea and it took your life on a whole different trajectory. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And do you have any other final tips today for us for living a more mystical life?
Definitely. I feel like the key is presence. And it's something so many of us struggle with. We're always trying to get to the next thing, or our brains are worrying about things. But if we can get back into the body, I'm very much into somatics. So, we're paying, like, where are you feeling different things, different blocks, opening those up, feeling the feelings, processing the feelings. And that's when your intuition will become louder. I've developed spiritual gifts just by becoming more present and fighting through that need to get up and do the next thing. And now I can see energy. I'm getting psychic downloads, and it's just the presence and feeling the feelings and allowing them to move through you, getting back in the body. Yeah.
Yes. And I feel grateful to have played a role in your psychic and intuitive gifts journey.
Yes. You have played such a huge part. Dream Book Academy came from your program, from working with you. And I don't think it would have been alive, or infuse the spiritual side of stuff into my work without working with you and that even becoming a thing.
That just brings me so much joy. I love it. Oh, thank you, Pia, for joining us today. This has been a magical conversation. And everyone, go grab a copy of her book.
Yes, thank you. It's been, amazing. I'm so grateful for you having me. And
All right, everyone. The portal is now closed.